Somebody's enjoying the work I do. Brought me another guitar. Regular customer. Check out the beautiful case he got this. Now, here's a nice surprise. This is almost a brand new condition. Made in Mexico Strat. Like there isn't even a mark on it. Oh, he did tell me there was a blemish somewhere in the finish. But maybe right there. But he bought this on Kijiji. And the serial number right here. M, Mexico, Z for the 2000, and 3 for the year. So it's a 2003 or a 2004 made in Mexico Strat. And it's just in wonderful condition. It's hardly been played. Like there's not even buckle rash on it. Just in wonderful shape. And he bought this, prepare yourself, $170. Now he really likes the neck. It's come in for a little bit of a setup. And you know it's the same guy because he wants me to change this pickup with hot rails. So that's going in to the bridge position. And he actually wants me to set it up so he can use the whammy bar on it. Just so he can lower it. He doesn't want it floating. So a little bit of soldering. Oh, he also wants me to make the tone control work with the bridge pickup instead of the middle pickup. So he uses the bridge pickup the most. So that's what we're going to do. A little bit of setup. Actually, the nut is not looking too bad on that. A little bit of a setup. Change the pickup. Change the tone control. And give it back to the guy. Just awesome guitar. What a deal. What a beauty. If you can get yourself a guitar for that price and love it, wow. You just can't beat that deal. What a wonderful instrument. Okay. Next time we see it, it'll be on the bench, getting a little bit of work done to it. Well, you can see the reflection of my fancy light in the dining room here. Everybody needs one of these. These things are great for knocking your head on. Yeah, nice and heavy, and it swings a little bit too, so when you hit it with your head, it moves, then bonks you again. That's a real treat. But anyways, gets you to see how nice that finish is. Preliminary look is that the neck is very straight and the action is very low, and that's the way the guy likes it. And who am I to argue? I just fix them. So it's not buzzing anywhere. So that's great. You like low action and it doesn't buzz? That's perfect. So I still got the old strings in it. And you still got 3 springs in it. I'm not too keen on this arrangement. Some people like it, but other people insist that when you're using your whammy bar, these springs are taking up more tension than this one. So the convention is to have them all parallel. We've got just a little wedge here. And just stick that in until it just gets decked. Alright. I think my screws are a bit. My intonation's definitely got to be checked out here. But that's okay. But I think my screws may be a little tight. And what they should do is they should just barely touch it. Yeah, they are a little tight. So I'm going to get the strings off. We'll adjust those little screws a little bit. Well, something you might want to pay attention to is while you're taking the strings off, I got a little bit of play in there, a little loose. So we'll get them tightened up a bit. And just give them a nice and snug. Not screaming tight. And give them all at once over. Especially on a guitar you haven't seen before. So get those all torqued up. Now if I put that in the nut, you can see it's right buried. So on a properly cut nut, half of that string should be showing. So we're going to do a little bit of bringing the top level of the nut down a little bit too. I'm going to start here with some 400 grit. It might be a bit fine to start with, but I'd rather take it slow and easy. I would imagine this is just plastic. And we'll just take it down a little bit at a time and keep checking. Okay, we're up to 1500 grit. A little bit of 2000 grit. Don't know if anybody appreciates having their nuts polished. But we do it. It's part of the job. Yeah, I said that out loud. So there we go. And I got my E string here for an example. You're going to focus. There we go. You can see that the string is actually proud where it's supposed to be. Oh, seeing there was so little wear on this, I didn't think I was going to have to do any fretwork on it. But look at the marks left right in here, right from the factory. if I can hold this stable enough for you, but you can see the big lines and divots in there. No wear. That's just right from the factory. Very poor fretwork. Look at the grinding marks right there. Very poor job. So, we're going to tape off the board and do some fretwork. Well, we're all taped off. And of course, because I'm working with sanding some metal away, good possibility of shavings happening. I like to get the pickups all guarded with some tape, magnets and steel. Starting off with 400 grit. Time for hangnails. Oh, it looks like there's glue and everything on there. I don't know how well you can see that. It doesn't really show up on film. But what I do is I take my fingernail and I put it over the edge. And I put the pressure on my fingernail. And I'm actually doing the sides of the fret more than the top. I don't want to bring this height down much. I just want to get it cleaned up into a nice arch. Well, I don't know about you, but I think that's much better. A couple of drops of mineral oil on the fretboard. Come on, focus. So there's a traditional trim. Now, you see how it works. Come on, stay in focus. So, if these screws are in too tight, they hold this thing down. You can see the gap between the screws, so if you tighten them up too much, you're taking away that gap. So you want them just to it. So I guess you'd call that a universal route. Some of them have a bathtub route. I don't know what these holes are for. Probably for fixturing on a CNC. That would be my guess anyways. 3 fixture holes. So things can be placed. But it does have, let me get around here. Hard to do this. It does have a decent switch in it. Not one of those melty plastic ones, so that's going to make life easier. Now your whammy bars on Strats, they come in all different flavors, all different sizes and shapes, but they're not always the same thread. I'm going to leave everything full length, just in case in the future somebody wants to do something else with it. Leave as much wire as possible. Let's see what we got here. Are we warm enough? It'd be better if I stopped shaking so much. this out of the way. Heat shrink tubing would probably be better, but harder to take apart if somebody wants to get in here and do something else. Well, there we go. Nice and obvious if somebody wants to get back in here and do some more modifications. So Seymour Duncan gives you a little package with the screws and little latex tubing spacers for it. And I'm going to use the screws, but I'm going to use the original springs that came with the guitar instead of the latex tubing. So we'll mount that in. The wide part of the spring, it's a little conical spring. Let me see if I can get you a better picture of this. So little conical springs. This side, the wide side, goes to the pick guard. Our tone control to work on the bridge pickup. I just looked up this. You see this? So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to put a little jumper in here and get that done. And my battery light's flashing. So after much hullabaloo, we finally got the wire to go from the tone control out of there. Got our little jumper in there. We'll just get the little jumper soldered in. And that should do it. Oh, here we are, we're all cleaned up, and we're going to put on the Dario 10-46. Took the bridge all apart, cleaned it all up. Give it a drop of oil here and there. Put it back together. Brought the bridges back so we can set the intonation. And now it's string time. A bit of graphite put into the slots. So we've got our strings put through the holes. Our tension screws are backed off. And a little wedge of wood put in there. Now we can start hooking it up. So our string height was set enough so we can get it in tune. So now the strings are holding this wedge. So if we can just get these things tightened up a little bit at a time. Until the wedge is loose, we should be pretty close. Still decked. Pretty close. One thing I noticed about YouTube is what I hear here is totally different from what I hear on my videos. So if you're looking for what an amp sounds like, don't use YouTube because the sound totally changes. Last time I did one, I had just a touch of reverb on it, could barely hear it in the room, and it sounded booming in the video. Well, it's holding in tune. Alright, Heath. Nice deal. Nice guitar. All set up and ready to go for you. Alright. Thanks for dropping by.